Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. A couple of days before Valentine's Day, I found out Cedric Grolet was opening his first patisserie outside of Paris. And Cedric, for those of you who don't know, depending on who you talk to or which publication you read, he's referred to as either the pastry god, the best pastry chef in the world, or the man who makes the best cakes. His day job is he's the executive pastry chef at Le Maurice. And Le Maurice is a hotel I first spoke about in one of my earlier videos, where I was recommending some of the best afternoon tea places in Africa as well as in Europe. And now he's chosen to open his new patisserie outside of Paris, specifically at the Berkeley Hotel. Now, for a bit of context, where he's currently at, Le Maurice, the hotel is part of the Dorchester collection. They have a group of hotels dotted around the world. For example, Hotel Lana in Dubai, there are two in Italy, one in Milan, Hotel Principe de Savoia, Hotel Eden in Rome. And then specifically in Paris, they have Le Maurice and then Hotel Plaza Athénée that was made legendary by Sex and the City. In London, they own the Dorchester Hotel, and then directly opposite the Dorchester, 45 Park Lane, and then outside London, Coworth Park. He's now opening his new patisserie, Cedric Grolet, at the Berkeley Hotel. The Berkeley Hotel is part of the Mayborn Group. They have a number of hotels around the world, one in the south of France, one in Beverly Hills, and three in London. Claridge's, the Connaught that I first spoke about in my Mount Street video, and I'll include that in this video, and then the Berkeley. The Mayborn, Dorchester collection, and then a small group of other hotels own the top hotels in the world. Their hotels define what is luxury at the very top end of the hotel market. And so you have a situation where the pastry god is joining forces with one of the best hotels in the world, and you're going to end up with one of the best products ever. Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley. I'm Anesu Sagonda, and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying quality from the get-go, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on the brands that operate very much under the radar and packing a mighty quality punch, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, then my content is very much geared towards you. One of my wonderful subscribers mentioned it would be lovely to see some save or splurge videos from you. Here goes. This is the first of many more to come, but I'm going to be focused on products as well as services. A few days after Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley launched, I decided to go in just to get a feel for the place, soak up some of the atmosphere, see what type of clientele they were attracting before deciding on whether to actually go in for Goûter or buy something and enjoy it at home. And I was there for about 15-20 minutes, jumping between the takeaway queue and the queue of people waiting to be seated. And in the time I was there, I couldn't help but reflect on the fact that all the press coverage I had seen prior to the launch and even after the launch, I hadn't seen any people of color included in any of the posts. And it made me incredibly sad because it's rare for me to see people of color included in any events. And I'm talking the hotels at the top end of the market. They host quite a number, prior to COVID, a number of events where they would launch products, collaborate with a brand, and I rarely see people of color invited to these events. And it makes me sad because people of color, your ethnic minorities, also like luxury. And when I say ethnic minorities, just for clarity, I'm talking people who've originated from Africa, from Asia, and from South America. And because of my channel, I get a number of people who'll send me direct messages saying, I've been invited to this event, or I would like to buy XYZ, and I'm not too sure how it works. What's the protocol, the etiquette? How do I dress? How do I behave? And although granted, there are people who are new to money and don't know, people want to learn. And what happens when you include ethnic minorities is you bring a different dimension to the conversations, the ideas that are bandied about. They bring in possibly the cultural element if it's something you're not aware of, the implications. And also it's a totally different audience. And what's happened over the last couple of years, particularly with the Black Lives Matter, is ethnic minorities being brought to the forefront and talking about wanting a seat at the table. And one thing I've become particularly sensitive to is the fact that I'm very much, from a personality point of view, a leader more than a follower. And I always think, if we're not going to get a seat at the table, why don't we make the table ourselves? And I thought, let's do this video. I like cake. I like chocolate, as I've mentioned before. I'm going to include that video above. And I would rather eat less chocolate or cake. But when I do eat it, it's very good quality in terms of the ingredients that have been used, how the cake has been assembled, how it's been made, and of course the service, how it's delivered. All of that has to be top notch. I'd rather save and enjoy a once a 2-3 month experience than just do it every couple of weeks in a substandard place with a substandard product. And that's what motivated this video. There are 2 entrances to Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley. You have the first, which is through the main entrance, up the stairs, and then to your right you have the Collins room, where they're still serving their Pret tea, fashion high tea. Behind the Collins room you have Marcus Waring, a fine dining Michelin-starred restaurant. And then to your left you have their legendary Blue Bar. Veer to the left, in front of you you have the Berkeley Cafe, which is connected to Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley, which is along the back wall of the Berkeley Hotel. The second entrance is their own designated entrance. It runs along the back wall where the counter is from the outside. Windows are dressed in a selection of flowers, very much in keeping with the theme of his cakes, which are focused around flowers and also fruit. Walk past the entrance, up the stairs, and then immediately to your right is the takeaway section, and then Cedric's counter behind that. And then in front of you is the Berkeley Cafe. As you can imagine, absolutely no expense has been spared when it comes to the furniture, the accessories, everything, as you can imagine, has been finished, has been kitted out to the highest standard, very much in keeping with what I would expect from an establishment at that level. The Berkeley Cafe serves petit dejeuner, breakfast, from 8 in the morning through till 11 in the morning. They serve a selection of venoisseries, so think your croissants, your pain au chocolat, for example, all perfectly layered, very pretty venoisseries that look almost too pretty to eat. And they're absolutely scrumptious. The secret is out amongst the locals at how good the venoisseries are, and they sell out very quickly. Typically by 11, they are all gone. And bear in mind, Knightsbridge is part of the Platinum Triangle, one of the most affluent parts of the United Kingdom. And the catchment area of residents is typically incredibly wealthy, and they are very comfortable and happy to pay the premium for the quality, the taste, and the whole Berkeley experience. And people buy the venoisseries for their normal day-to-day breakfast. If they are out of your budget, they typically price between £7 to £9 a piece, depending on what it is. I would say try it once for the experience, because the taste, how it looks aesthetically, the Berkeley experience, it's absolutely worth it. And it gives you the opportunity to try a perfectly executed venoiserie, and it's worth it, every penny they charge. Once petit déjeuner is done in the Berkeley Cafe, they switch to Goûter until the rest of the day, until 6 p.m. Goûter, literally translated, means to taste in French, but in this context it means sweet snacking. And it's the French equivalent of your traditional English afternoon tea, except the French are just focused on the sweet snacks. So think of your cakes, your pastries, your cookies, for example. And they have no interest whatsoever in the traditional English accompaniments of your scones or your sandwiches, for example. But what they've done specifically, and very smartly for the London market, is introduce a London exclusive scone, the petite scone trompe-l'œil, which I'll talk about in a bit. But when it comes to Goûter, you have two options. You have their main offering. For £90, you get a selection of 5 cakes. And they're typically bite-sized cakes. So you get about 3 or 4 bites per cake. Glass of champagne, and then hot beverage of your choice. If that's out of your budget or it's too much cake, but bear in mind you can take the cakes away, there is the a la carte menu. Again, all the cakes, pastries, cookies, everything is from Cedric's Patisserie. And you can choose the cakes a la carte, typically priced between £20 to £25. And they have a fairly strong selection of cakes. They also have a couple of options of champagne, priced between £20 to £25. And then the hot beverages are priced between £7 to £9. Ordering individually, you're looking at about £60, £65 after service. I would suggest push to 90 if you can. You get to try his signature cakes and be part of the whole Goûter experience. For the service alone, it's absolutely amazing. I opted for the £90 Goûter, and as I mentioned, you get 5 cakes and they come in the order that they're listed in your menu. The first two, the petite vanilla. The petite vanilla is vanilla cream decorated in the shape of a flower, the petals of the flower. And then the middle is a soft and fairly moist sponge. And then the base is a crunchy praline chocolate base. And then the second cake is the petite hazelnut. Apologies, I didn't get to take a picture of the inside of the cake, and that's because I typically don't like cakes with nuts. But when I tried this particular petite hazelnut, I was so surprised at how delicious it was. I just kept going, and it was only as I got to the last forkful I realized, oh my goodness, I haven't even taken the picture. Apologies. I'll try and see if I can find one to insert. But that has a delicately crunchy hazelnut base. The brown stuff is Jandua chocolate. It's largely hazelnut mousse, and then it's all enveloped in a thin chocolate casing. The third cake is the petite scone trompe-l'œil. And trompe-l'œil literally translated means optical illusion, but in this context, it's referring to Cedric's artistry. He's incredibly focused on producing cakes modeled around flowers and fruit and making them incredibly realistic, not only in how they look, but also the taste. He's all about using local seasonal ingredients, and it's about letting the natural taste of the ingredients really come through as far as possible. You're not going to get additives, preservatives, flavoring enhancers from Cedric's cakes. It's all about the natural taste, and you have very little sugar unless it's naturally occurring in the ingredients. So you don't get any sugar coating, any sugar to mask any taste, or sugar to bring out any taste. His cakes are insanely delicious. It's all about if it's a lemon, for example, it tastes like a lemon. If it's a flower, you have the sweetness of the flower, the look of the flower. It's absolutely insanely well thought out and executed. And then looking at the scone itself, it's the scone, and then in the middle you have the scone batter, and then it has a marmalade ganache. And then on the side, you get a sliver of clementine jam. So you have the sharpness of the jam cutting through the scone, which isn't sweet at all, but it's more just a true English scone taste. The last two cakes, you have the petite lemon and you have the petite Paris Brest flower. I would highly recommend finishing with the petite flower, more so because it's incredibly tart and it cleanses your palate very well. The petite Paris Brest flower is a mixture of your almond and hazelnut. In the middle it has a brioche, and in that brioche you also get more of that same almond and hazelnut mixture. And then the final is the petite lemon. It's the most realistic lemon I've ever seen in terms of the look aesthetically, but also the taste. It's incredibly tart. It's just as sharp as a lemon. It's maybe 1 or 2 degrees less sharp, but it's the extreme of lemon. It really is like eating a lemon. It's not just a hint of lemon, a subtle taste. It is eating lemon. And if you're someone who likes lemon, you're going to get your fix. Once Goûter is done at 6 p.m., the menu becomes a fairly informal, almost American-style diner menu. A nice contrast to Marcus Waring, which is fine dining. So it's more informal, it's relaxed, it's laid back, it's not as smart. And then moving across to the piece de resistance, the focal of Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley, his counter service. You have 8 high chairs around the counter, and then in the middle of the counter you have a number of pastry chefs offering an immersive experience that's incredibly interactive. They are there to educate you about the product, they complete the product in front of you, they field any questions. What they have is 3 seatings during the course of the day. The first is at 10:30 in the morning, then 1 p.m. and then 3:30 in the afternoon. What you get for £135 per person is essentially the opportunity to purchase a high chair for 2 hours, and you get the pastry chef's undivided time, attention and expertise all to yourself. What you get is 7 plates, 6 are cakes and 1 is a savory dish. The savory is merely to cleanse the palate, and then you also get for that price a glass of champagne and a hot beverage. For people who don't drink alcohol, you have the option of a mocktail for both the counter service as well as the Goûter. And what happens is, as each cake comes out, the chef is able to talk you through the cake. They complete the cake in front of you, whether it's icing it, garnishing the savory, or some sort of design detail. It's all done in front of you, which gives them a chance to talk about the product, the brand, and field any questions you might have. And you have their undivided attention all to yourself. That's what you have paid for. And of course, the amazing product, it's scrumptious, and the high service, the high level of service you get with the Berkeley. Would I recommend it? In a heartbeat. It's absolutely game-changing for the United Kingdom because there isn't anybody doing something similar. You have direct competitors to the Berkeley for traditional English afternoon tea. The Dorchester, the Ritz, you have Claridge's, you have Sketch coming in with a slightly funkier take on afternoon tea. They are all charging £75 per head, including champagne. But Cedric is coming in pretty much double because he's taking advantage of being the first mover, a product that's unique to the market, the quality of the product, not just the taste, the ingredients he's used, but also the artistic flair, the skill that's gone into his wonderful trompe-l'oeil. That is what the premium is for. That's what you're essentially buying from Cedric. And then I always wonder, once the hype is gone, can you still sustain that kind of product? With Cedric, it's a no-brainer, yes. Because first of all, he's very close to South Kensington. Knightsbridge and South Kensington are back to back. South Kensington has a huge contingent of French nationals living there who are fairly affluent. Throw into that Knightsbridge, which has an incredibly affluent clientele anyway, and they've caught on to the magic of his venoisseries and the pastries, and they're coming in and buying them as if they're buying them in a local supermarket. And Knightsbridge as a whole has an abundance of your mid-tier patisseries. A lot of them are chains. And he's come in with a much higher product that's just blown any competition out of the water. That's in the middle. And then behind the counter, you have the takeaway counter. All day long, first thing in the morning, they have venoisseries. They run out fairly quickly. Then the rest of the day, any other pastries that have been made for that day are all displayed along there. And it's very much first come, first serve basis. Once they're gone, they are gone. And I've seen a lot of people come in and buy the cakes. You typically are paying £17 for takeaway versus £25 off the a la carte menu. And a lot of people are eating them directly in the park, Hyde Park, which is opposite the hotel. But what I would recommend is making a meal of it, an occasion of it. You have 2 minutes away from the Berkeley, you have Harvey Nichols, and then 4 minutes away from the Berkeley, you have Harrods. Both have amazing champagne departments, and they serve and sell chilled champagne rather. And then Harrods has the added advantage of an amazing food hall. You have charcuterie, you have salads, you have your nibbles, your nuts, your crisps, you have sandwiches. Buy some of that and take it up to the park. And directly opposite the Berkeley, you have the Rose Garden. in there. You have really soft grass, green grass. You can sit directly on the grass, spread a picnic blanket, or there are benches all around, and make an occasion of it. It's a phenomenal product that's worth the splurge. As a one-off, a bucket list, special occasion, someone like myself who will treat myself. If I feel like being good to myself, I need a really nice pick-me-up, I will buy the takeaway petite hazelnut. And then, of course, you have the locals who are going to be able to help sustain the patisserie, who are buying venoisseries, patisseries, cakes, everything, as if they're buying them from their local patisserie, local supermarket. It's a phenomenal product that I cannot fault. And coupled with the fact that it's being served in the Berkeley, you're getting service at the very top end with a top product. It's a win-win. Any other questions? As always, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know if anybody else has tried any of the pastries at Cedric Grolet at the Berkeley. Thank you for watching as always, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.